To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Here age relives fond memories of the past, and here youth may savor the challenge and promise of the future. Challenge and promise of the future indeed, because Tomorrowland is very definitely challenged right now, but there is promise around the corner. The construction walls that now surround Disneyland's Tomorrowland signify this transition, and hopefully those coverings for these buildings mean that they're looking at the People Mover track and trying to bring it back, maybe, probably, someday. Hopefully. Tomorrowland at both Walt Disney World and Disneyland has been sort of a big issue for me within the past couple years, and I've talked about how to fix it before in my video. If you're interested, link in the description below. Instead, what we're going to be talking about today are the steps that Disney is taking to fix Tomorrowland on both coasts. Where we were once supposed to savor the challenge and promise of the future has now become a place where you can ride a Star Wars ride and ride another Star Wars ride and go meet Star Wars characters. Even though the Star Wars franchise has its own billion-dollar land, what we've seen recently is hopefully the beginning of Disney's new Tomorrowlands. When Tomorrowland opened with the rest of Disneyland in 1955, a plaque outside the main entrance said this: "A vista into a world of wondrous ideas, signifying man's achievements, a step into the future with predictions of constructive things to come. Tomorrow offers new frontiers in science, adventure, and ideals, the atomic age, the challenge of outer space, and the hope for a peaceful and unified world." Now, in a perfect world, these words would have aged wonderfully, and Tomorrowland would still be as relevant today as it was back in 1955 when it opened with Disneyland. But this video would never exist if that were the case. The atomic age has come and gone, and Disney, trying to stay relevant with Tomorrowland, has updated it multiple times, trying their hand at retro futures, steampunk futures, and renewable futures. All of these themes seemed pretty good on their own, but over the years Disney would add and replace things, until the Tomorrowlands at Walt Disney World and Disneyland were sort of a Frankenstein's monster of a bunch of different kinds of futures. And then Disney bought Lucasfilm, and here we are. But recently there has been a bit of a shift at Walt Disney World's Tomorrowland, with colors and different attraction signages changing slowly and very subtly. The sign for the Monsters Inc. laugh floor has gone from a very large, chunky, industrial-looking sign to more of a sleek, semi-futuristic one. A sign that a few longtime fans of Walt Disney World may recognize. Already the colors of paints are shifting from grays and browns and greens to more bright colors like purple and blue and persimmon. Lots of other ones are in there too. I'm sure you just look at the screen, you'll see a few colors here and there. But the problem of a weird future fusion Tomorrowland still persists with rides like the Astro Orbiter. And yes, even the People Mover. Walt's original intention for Tomorrowland was to be a view into the amazing things that have yet to come in the future. But when Epcot opened in 1982, Tomorrowland began to shift. The more realistic educational rides like Mission to Mars and If You Had Wings, their days were numbered at that point. Tomorrowland began to shift into a fantastical future, one that was placed in fiction rather than reality because it would age better. All of these plans influenced heavily by Discovery Bay, a new themed land coming to Disneyland, allegedly. Discovery Bay would have a very Jules Verne steampunk feel, and it would roughly occupy the land where Star Wars Galaxy's Edge sits today. Walt Disney World's Tomorrowland is in that spot where it's sort of a mess right in the middle of everything. Instead of Delta Dreamflight and Mission to Mars, you have Monsters Inc. on one side and Stitch's Alien Encounter character greeting on the other side. But the Imagineers really outdid themselves with Walt Disney World's Tomorrowland, because compared to Disneyland's, it's the best themed land in any of the Disney parks. Hey guys, what's up everybody? It's me, Dallin. I'm using my phone, and take a look here. This is why I dislike Disneyland's Tomorrowland so intensely right now. Star Tours front and center right when you enter the land, which is fine, I like Star Tours, and then going back you see Hyperspace Mountain, a Star Wars themed reskin of Space Mountain. Well, okay, let's go a little bit further down the path, and oh, there you have Star Wars Launch Bay taking up the former space of Innoventions. But you look right behind Frontierland and you see a billion-dollar expansion, a Star Wars themed land. Why? Even though they're tearing up those horrible looking French fry rocks at the entrance of Tomorrowland, it is still completely and utterly devoted right now to Star Wars. And that, I think, is the West Coast Tomorrowland's biggest flaw. Not the lack of an educational ride or, yes, even a people mover, but that it is too devoted to Star Wars. And that's coming from someone who likes Star Wars. I enjoy Star Wars a lot. Okay, I gotta refocus, stay on track. The name of this video is Disney's New Tomorrowlands, and as you can see from this video, that I had to slow down so I don't get sick, that Disney is making an effort not to make new rides in Tomorrowland, but to change the aesthetics first. You can see in this video both the rocks being removed and the people mover entrances and exits for some reason being redone. I don't want to get ahead of myself, I don't want to get too excited, it's probably just a paint job, they're probably just repainting the wall, but new people mover, maybe. And where Walt Disney World is concerned, we know the Magic Kingdom is getting the Tron coaster in 2021 for its 50th anniversary. So maybe things like the new paint job going up and even the purple wall are sort of steps building up to a newer Tomorrowland. And hopefully this will be a step towards a more cohesive and current Tomorrowland, like the one found in Shanghai. Disney partnered with an architecture company called Grimshaw to make this land. And they didn't base this Tomorrowland off of the Atomic Age or steampunk or Discovery Bay. Instead, it was based off of an idea rather than a future. This Tomorrowland was based on the simple idea of movement. There are many different levels and twisting walkways wandering through different gardens and attractions, so guests can find what they want to do most without getting lost, and having beautiful greenery along the way doesn't hurt either. The silvers and the chromes used also really help keep this area timeless. You can't really tell if it's the future or if it's more modern. And I don't know if that's a good thing or not, because who knows, over the next 10 or 20 years, this Tomorrowland may age horribly and remind people of the 80s shopping mall feel they get around Space Mountain at Disneyland, or all of Epcot. But just admire the features of Shanghai's Tomorrowland for a second and tell me it doesn't look a little better than both of the Tomorrowlands we have here. They wanted to make navigating the land an experience unto itself. Basically what I'm saying is, Grimshaw, please come help Disney fix Tomorrowland here in the United States. I'll give you $20 out of my own wallet, or maybe I'll just give you a pat on the back. But Tomorrowland at Shanghai is what I think the United States Tomorrowlands need to aspire to be. And maybe someday, with the recent construction developments happening, that could be a possibility. From the newly repainted walls and the soon-to-open Tron coaster at Disney World, to the people mover construction walls and the weird yellow-looking rocks being removed at Disneyland, I have a feeling we're going to be seeing some big shakeups at Tomorrowland, and ones that are more in line with Walt Disney's vision. A Tomorrowland that educates as well as entertains, and one that hopefully, fingers crossed, ages well. But what about you guys? I've told you time and time again what I would like to see in a brand new Tomorrowland people mover, but what would you guys like to see? A new revamped Autopia with self-driving electric cars? Been thinking about this for a long time. You get rid of the concrete strip down the middle of the road and implement self-driving, so that way you can't bump any cars ever because the car will self-correct and get you right back on course. You don't need the concrete strip. But self-driving cars will become the norm in 10 to 20 years and Disney will have to redo Autopia again. It's a mess, but I think it's a good idea for now. Let me know what you want to see in a new Tomorrowland down below, and remember that it's really hard to predict and get the future correct. But I think we're seeing the first steps of a brand new, brighter future for Tomorrowland taking shape right now before our very eyes. And remember that there is a great, big, beautiful tomorrow shining at you guys probably know the rest. Are you ready for the spookiest time of year, the spookiest month of them all, and the scariest time to be a subscriber of Offhand Disney? Well, get ready, because Halloween on the Offhand Disney channel begins later this week and continues all the way through the 31st, All Hallows Eve. So prepare yourself for spine-tingling videos, and one very long Haunted Mansion video. I hope I'll find you all here later this week, and I will see you all a little later.